Good morning. Welcome to the Morning After Show. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Ryan Hensley. Usually it's the morning after the Niners play, but that was 2 days ago, so it's the morning after the playoffs, although there's a game tonight, which really kind of screws up our show because we don't really know who the Niners are going to play, so we're going to talk about that. The theme of the show is, are the Niners vulnerable or unstoppable? And I don't know the answer to that. They've won 11 in a row, so in that sense, they're unstoppable. They score like 30-something points a game, but boy, that first half against Seattle was strange, and that game against the Raiders was strange. So I guess that's sort of going to be the lens in which we're talking about the 49ers. But first, we got to talk about this game. Tonight, Dallas against Tampa Bay. The winner plays the 49ers. Which team do you think the Niners are hoping they face?
I think they probably prefer the Bucs, and the fans prefer the Bucs. I actually put a survey out yesterday. Got 2,100 votes already. 63% of 49er fans prefer the Bucs over the Cowboys. I think I'm probably the lone exception. I want to see the Cowboys simply because I'm an old head and I like that rivalry. I just want to see, like, my neighbor's a Cowboys fan. 2 of my best friends are Cowboys fans. That rivalry in the 90s is tremendous. So for old heads like me, I want to see the Niners beat the Cowboys in the playoffs. It's something satisfying about that. Almost like when you beat the Seahawks.
I feel you, but who do you think is going to win? Okay, so that's a different question. Okay. You think you'd rather see the Dallas just because of nostalgia, but who do you think is going to win?
I actually think Dallas is going to win. I know that's probably – so the Bucs played Dallas in, I think it was the first game of the season, and the Bucs beat them 19-3. But that was a long time ago. Dallas is healthier than Tampa Bay right now. Dallas is more well-rounded. Dallas has the 4th, according to, Pro Football Reference. Dallas has the 4th best offensive line in the NFL, which is huge. They're well-rounded. They're 5th in third down completions. They're 6th in overall defense. So they're the best, in my opinion, most well-rounded team. They also have linebacker Micah Parsons, Zach Martin were named first team All-Pro. Wide receiver CeeDee Lamb made second team All-Pro. Yeah, and I think the right tackle on Tampa Bay Bucs was the only All-Pro. He made second team.
Okay.
So to me, Dallas just has a better team, and I think they're healthier right now. Tampa Bay's pretty beat up still. The only curveball there would be Tom Brady. Tom Brady in the playoffs, man, that is a scary thing. So you never know with Tom Brady, man. It's Tom Brady. So there's a chance that he can pull it off. And that's actually something that probably concerns me a little bit if we do end up having to play the Bucs would be Tom Brady. Now, if I could just say one more thing about the offensive line, I think the reason why we're seeing our defense struggle, I know we're going to talk about it more, but not really struggle, but just not play to what the level we're expecting, is when they don't put pressure on the quarterback, that has a domino effect on everybody else behind them. And I think that's why you see Charvarius Ward struggle a little bit yesterday, and why you saw the DB struggle against the Raiders. It's just in the Raiders and the game yesterday, Nick Bosa had 0 sacks. And when Nick Bosa is not putting pressure on the quarterback, this is a different defense.
Okay, so you think the Niners would rather face Tampa that they're probably going to face Dallas. I can understand why they'd rather face Tampa because they kicked the shit out of Tampa. They kicked the shit out of Tampa. But that was like the B team. And I'm looking right now. It does actually look like Tampa's getting healthy. I don't know if their guys are in football shape, but Vita Vea missed most of that game. He's healthy. Tristan Wirfs is back. Sean Murphy-Bunting, Mike Edwards, Antoine Winfield Jr. All those guys are back. So they're a little bit better. I know they lost last week, but they basically didn't have to win. They sat their guys. Thing about Dallas, I know they're really good, but I don't trust anyone on that team. There's something about Dallas. I don't trust the head coach. I don't trust the defensive coordinator. I don't trust the quarterback. There's something about Dak. So, Cowboys 12-5, freaking Tampa's 8-9. It's like it should be a no-brainer. But Tampa has a great quarterback, and Dallas has Dak, who is starting to look more and more like Jimmy to me. And one of these quarterbacks who's like mediocre, maybe above average, but like not getting it done. He led the league in picks this year. He's thrown picks in 7 straight games. I don't know what's going on with. He's never won a playoff game on the road. He has a lot to prove, and if he loses this game, I don't think they can trade him. Although they might want to consider it if they can free some cap space up, because I don't know where they're going with him making a ton of money. I think there's a lot of pressure on him. I don't know how good he is, and I think the Niners defense really is only vulnerable if you got a great quarterback. And the thing about Brady, although he didn't play well in that game, they never sacked him.
Yeah.
They never sacked him in that game. So maybe if he had his right tackle and a defense, they could have done better. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in the right tackle on Tampa Bay, he's second-team All-Pro, so he's doing a really phenomenal job. You know, typically with 49ers, they do better against immobile quarterbacks, but Tom Brady, he's just a different story. He gets the ball out too quick to be touched. Dak Prescott is a lot, definitely more mobile than Tom Brady, but Tom Brady avoids sacks because he just gets the ball out really quick. And they do concern me a little bit because in the first game they did have open receivers. For whatever reason, Tom Brady wasn't able to hit those guys, but he had guys open deep down the sidelines, and he was just short of his passes. Yeah,
it seemed like he just didn't have the protection, and the Niners were getting to him. But if Tristan Wirfs is there and the Niners D-line kind of doesn't show up like they've done sometimes in the past few games, then all of a sudden it's Tom freaking Brady, and I'm much more scared of him than Dak Prescott. I mean, last year, Dak Prescott against the Niners at home was 23 of 43 for 254 yards, a touchdown, a pick, a 69 rating, and they scored 17 points. Like, I was there. He got sacked 5 times. He doesn't seem that mobile anymore. He's almost 30 years old. The guy has a lot to prove, man. If he can't get it done, eventually Dallas is going to have to figure out something else.
Who do you think has the best defense, Tampa Bay or Dallas? And the reason why I ask you that is because I think the way that the 49ers offense is playing so well, and they're ranked. So Tampa Bay is ranked 13th. Dallas is ranked 6th defensively right now, according to Pro Football Reference. And the reason why I ask that is because the 49ers have been able to put up a ton of points over the last several weeks with Brock Purdy. If a team is able to slow that down, that's what concerns me more than what their offense can do. Because right now, I think the 49ers offense is the best unit on the team, actually, over the defense. And so if a team can slow the 49ers down, that's the team that it concerns me more than vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas definitely has a better pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that makes them a tougher matchup for the Niners, since the Niners are sort of turning into a passing team.
Yeah,
Vita Vea is a great run defender, great player, but without Shaq Barrett, they definitely don't have the pass rush that you would want against a passing team like the Niners. So maybe in that sense, you'd rather face Dallas. It just feels like, I don't know. I don't know what to make of Dak. Maybe Dak is a really good quarterback. Maybe I'm underselling him. Maybe he's going to prove it tonight and kick it.
He seems very hot and cold to me. Like
he seems cold right now, though. Now.
For a long period of time, yeah. But if he gets hot, and the reason why I think a lot of people don't trust the Cowboys is because they go to the playoffs and they're out like instantly.
Also, Mike McCarthy, even though he's won a Super Bowl, that was a long time ago, and he just doesn't strike you. He doesn't strike fear in the heart of anyone.
Yes, yeah, that's true. But
except for his own fans.
I do like looking at things like over long periods of time, right? The Cowboys have a history of getting one and done. Not performing well in the playoffs, but to me, sometimes that makes me feel like it's gonna happen because they've gone so long not doing it. I feel like at some point that has to change, So maybe it's this year for the Cowboys.
Here's what would scare me about Tampa if I were the 49ers. They're champions. They won 2 years ago. Tom Brady's won 7 times. A lot of these players know what it takes. So even though they're 8-9. This is a team that you could say might be able to flip the switch, get hot, because they've done it before.
Yeah.
The Niners act like they've done it before. Mm-hmm. And they act like they can flip the switch because they kind of coasted into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they turned it on in the second half of this last playoff game, but they're not champions.
Yeah.
From the head coach down, they're not champions, and they don't know what it takes, and they're figuring it out right now, and they may establish themselves as champions this year. And of course they're better than Tampa Bay. But still, it sucks to face the greatest quarterback of all time and a team that just won the championship 2 years ago because, again, they could just get hot. And just because they lost last week when they sat a bunch of their starters doesn't mean they're not ready to go. They're getting their center back, Ryan Jensen, who missed the entire season. That's another one. I wouldn't want to face him. I'd be rooting for Dallas if I were the Niners. I'm just saying I don't trust them. I don't trust emotionally. I just something about them. They seem like losers, even though they're very talented.
There's two players in the NFL this year that kind of remind me of like NBA type conservative. Let's wait till the playoffs. Those two players to me are Deebo Samuel and Tom Brady. I mean, we watched Deebo on Saturday. He looked like Deebo of old to me. He was phenomenal. And it was like almost like, have you guys been sandbagging all freaking season? And I think a guy like Tom Brady, who's been playing as long as he has, he's 46 years old. He's won, 7 Super Bowls. It almost felt like he's like, let's just get into the playoffs and then we'll do our thing type thing. So, yeah, he does concern me as well. It's Tom Brady. He's the king of the comeback. So, you definitely can't count him out. I wouldn't base anything on the season when it comes to Tom Brady. I would just look at his career overall, and it's definitely concerning in the postseason.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, last week, Dak Prescott, Week 18 against Washington, who had nothing to play for and was starting Sam Howell.
Yeah. He
went 14 for 37 for 128 yards, a touchdown, a pick, 1 sack, and a quarterback rating of 45. That was last week. So, I don't know, man. I feel like that's who you want to face right now. Yeah. That guy.
Yeah. They do have
Where's his confidence? Where's his where Brady's confidence is at? Where's Dak's confidence right now?
I think one thing, though, if they're smart, Niners are great against the run. They're great against the pass. They're better against the run. But Cowboys do have those Pollard, and they have a great offensive line. So they do have the ability to threaten us in the run game as well.
That's true. Yeah. That's a good point about their offensive line. We got to keep that in mind. Tony says no more decoy Samuel. He is Deebo. Apologies. Need that all playoffs long, though. Bang, bang. Let's talk about Deebo Samuel. Do you feel like playoff Deebo is back?
Yes, man. I honestly, I know it sounds funny, and it's probably not the case, but damn, it just felt like they were sandbagging Deebo. They're just holding him off. Let's keep him healthy. And even Deebo's mentality, maybe he got paid and he's like, I'm going to turn it up for the playoffs. I'm going to just do my thing in the season. That kind of sounds a little crazy. Maybe that's not what happened, but that's what it felt like, because when I was watching Deebo yesterday, it seemed like the Deebo of old. It seemed like the Deebo that's worth that contract that he signed. I think only had 5 carries, right? But he was just phenomenal. He was running hard. And I think part of it, too, is I think Seattle made a mistake. Number 23, whoever that was on Seattle, that had that little dirty play on Deebo after he tackled him. I pissed off the whole team. You saw Kyle Shanahan was out there hyped up. You don't want to piss off the 49ers. You don't want to piss off Kyle Shanahan. You don't want to piss off Deebo, Trent Williams. You don't want to get those guys mad. And it seemed like that was outside of the Ebicom forced fumble. It seemed kind of like a turning point in the game to me after that play. Everyone was fired up. And I liked what I saw from Deebo yesterday.
I feel you. 2 days ago. Yeah, I feel you. I guess I just saw it a little bit differently, and I know everything switched in the second half, but I want to stick with what I saw in the first half. Mm-hmm. What I saw from Deebo was kind of what I've seen from him all year, in the sense that he still runs really hard. He's still Hercules out there. He's still not going to go down easily. His first touch was a carry for 22 yards. It was a great run on 1st and 10. So I thought he was geared up for the game. He was running hard. He also had a couple of nice catches on 3rd and long where he caught those crossing routes and broke a tackle. And those were crucial in the game. So I thought those 3 plays were really nice and showed you that he's still a good player. But I don't know if he's at his best yet. I think it's hard to be when he's missed so much time. I think you saw it on the deep throw. There was one at the end of the first half when he ran a fade at the end of the first half against Michael Jackson. Didn't beat him. I feel like playoff Deebo would. And then at the end of the game, that 74-yard touchdown, they were up 31-17. I kind of felt like Seattle had kind of packed it in at that point. Look, I guess what I want to say is Seattle's not good. We knew it. We didn't hype up Seattle, but we tried to make the game interesting all week. But Seattle is 9-9. That was their legacy this year. They weren't a good tackling team. They didn't have Jordan Brooks. Deebo, and the Niners put it on him, and they made him really shoved their face in it at the end. But I'd like to see Deebo do it again next week in a closer game with a little bit more on the line before I say he's all the way back. But clearly, 22 yards in the first carry. I think that what I was most impressed with, again, 18-yard gain on 3rd and 10 in this right before halftime, and then 21-yard gain on 3rd and 7 on that critical third quarter drive to start the second half that really put the Niners in control. It gave them all the momentum because they didn't have the momentum. They were losing at halftime after Jimmy Ward's penalty. Then they were on 3rd and 7 at what was that? That was Seattle's third. So they weren't even guaranteed to get a field goal on that drive. He catches the ball, breaks a tackle, goes for 21. That was huge. But still, is it because Seattle's trash or Deebo's back? I don't know. And that's why I don't like these 7 seeds, man. Because to me, they're not playoff teams. They're like little honorary mentions, Make-A-Wish team that you gets to, hey, you want to be a playoff team for a day? Get smacked.
Yeah. No, for me, man, I think the difference is Deebo is a competitor. And I feel like I saw that competitiveness come out in him. He had 2 great catches. Like, Deebo's not known for having the best hands, but yesterday, man, he made a couple really fantastic catches. And then there was another play where I'm pretty sure if it wasn't a touchdown, it was going to be a huge game. Brock Purdy missed him. He threw to Ayuk in the end zone instead. Ayuk didn't keep running.
Deebo was open.
Deebo was wide open. He catches that. That's probably 6 right there as well. So
yeah.
Purdy just missed him on that one. So I don't know, man. I think Deebo has just turned up his competitiveness for the playoffs. And
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I'd like to see him turn up his competitiveness a little bit on the blocks. He used to be as good of a blocker as Ayuk. Now, I don't know if he's just not interested anymore or doesn't have the same leg drive because he's missed some time. But, man, Ayuk is the one that's making all these blocks down the field. And Jennings and Deebo is – but, again, I guess at this point they're paying him to score touchdowns. And he did. 74-yard play, beautiful. Yeah. But I really felt like once Geno Smith fumbled, you could kind of feel Seattle go like, we're screwed at that moment. That's how I felt.
And you know what? I thought, honestly, Pete Carroll and Geno Smith, up until that, they were calling.
They were doing a good job.
They were having a perfect game, right? They were doing what – in order to beat the 49ers, with Seattle had to have the perfect game. And up until that point, they almost were.
They were. But if you remember, like what happened – so they're winning 17-16. Then the Niners come out. Not only do they score a touchdown on their opening drive, they have the ball for 8 minutes.
Yeah. That was
huge. Yeah. So it's like they're playing defense and offense at the same time. Then Seattle gets the ball, and people forget. They respond. They go right down the field. And on 2nd and 9 from the 14, Geno hits Tyler Lockett for 7 yards on a quick throw. They're flagged for ineligible man downfield, which Seattle's upset about. Who cares? But anyway, that was like a really big break, that call. Then 2 plays later, sack, fumble, Niners in the freaking red zone. Thank you, Geno Smith, for being Geno Smith when it counts. Niners get the ball back, score a touchdown later, go up 31-17 in the fourth quarter. That's the game. Right there. But, like, it was way closer than that. It turned because of Geno Smith being Geno Smith and Charles Omenihu being so clutch.
Good play by Charles.
Great play by Charles Omenihu.
We saw Josh Allen, get strip fumbled as
but
well.
Also, I mean, did Geno like running in the pocket with the ball in one hand? Like, dude, what? But I'm sorry. Yeah, whatever. Not our
play by Charles Omenihu. And you were talking about an eligible man downfield. I think they had 3 of those calls.
Wow.
Which is just what are you
doing?
Again,
it's the mark of a 9-9 team. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great what the Niners did. It was very close. They got a nice little break there, and then they blew them out as they should have. But, dude, it was the freaking Seahawks. Whoever they play next week, Tampa or Dallas is better than that Seattle team. And the Niners, what I guess bothered me about the performance was it was enough to beat Seattle, but I'd like to see a Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl contender in January, have a standard that they're playing at this point. Like, you're playing your best football, and it's not just like we're playing better than our opponent this week. And it's been that way for like the last 4 games.
Well, I think for me, like one of my biggest complaints is 49ers don't have a passing game, right? Now they do. They have an explosive passing game under Brock Purdy, and it's great. But that's that first drive of the second half. Kyle Shanahan came out just running the ball down their throat, trying to control the clock. And that's the 49ers' identity. And I think they need to really, honestly, I think it's smarter to stick with that, start with that, and then have the pass off of that, in my opinion. I think that's why they struggled. Kyle Shanahan wanted to make it the Brock Purdy show in the first half. And that was honestly the worst half of football I've seen from Brock Purdy in his career. thankfully he had an amazing half in the second half. But I think Kyle just needs to take a little pressure off of Brock Purdy and stick with this run game to start the game.
You could argue that was the best drive of the season. And what I loved about it was first play of the drive, play action, dump off to Juszczyk. Mm-hmm. They don't get Juszczyk involved enough. He's a really good player. I make fun of how little they use him. But whenever they get him involved, especially first play in a drive, good things tend to happen. He's like the guy who's always open. So then you go after that, you go hand off to McCaffrey for 3 yards, 3rd and 1, quarterback sneak. And it works.
You got one. Yes. It was good to see.
I'm just going to go through this drive real quick because it was great. Next play, hand off to McCaffrey, no gain. Next play, freaking Purdy to Kittle for 23.
Yeah.
So they didn't totally go away from Purdy. Next play, Mitchell for 4. Next play, Mitchell -1. Next play, 3rd and 7. This is crucial from the 37. Not quite in Gold's range. Purdy to Deebo on a crosser, breaks in front of the sticks, breaks a tackle, goes for 21, explosive play. Then into 16, McCaffrey for 7, McCaffrey for 2, McCaffrey for 5, McCaffrey for 1. And then second and goal at the 1, quarterback sneak, it works. Dude, quarterback sneak makes or breaks teams this year.
Yeah.
Baltimore's going home because they couldn't do the quarterback sneak. Right. What the hell was that? But Brock got it done twice on this drive, and that's why the Niners are still alive.
Yeah, it was good to see. But even though the passing game was huge in that, right? The Deebo play, the Kittle play, all that was huge. And that's
23 yards, 21 yards. Those were huge.
Those were big plays. But I felt like it was run first still. The mentality is run first. The threat of the run was there more than in the first half. And I think that's what Kyle needs to do. Even if it doesn't work, or even if you get 1 yard, go after
I like though throwing on first down and then running on second. Yeah. Because they're expecting you to run on first down. Hit Juszczyk for 6. And then on 2nd and 4, boom. Then give it to me. I like that. I mean, mix it up a little bit.
Mix it up is good.
Yeah. We were supposed to be talking about Deebo. We got to talk about other things. But that's okay. I think Deebo is definitely getting there in terms of getting to his playoff peak. Double B Studio says, "What's up, Grant and Ryan? What's up, Double B Studio? Who is that?"
Double B is my guy. He
was that?
He had the closest prediction. He was like 4 points off on his score predictions last week. Yeah,
dude. I thought it was gonna rain. It didn't freaking rain. It barely rained. I hate talking about weather, especially when it doesn't happen. Nico says Ryan has 4 interviews before the division. Is defense gonna be ready? Let's talk about it. Let's talk. This is a good topic. So apparently there are 5 openings so far. He's got interviews with 4 of them. He's already set up 2 of them this week, and I guess he's going to set up the other 2 for this week or next week. Do you think this is something that could actually affect the 49ers in the upcoming game?
I don't really think so. I think he's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to be ready for it. I mean, he's been doing it all year. I don't think it's going to be a huge difference. Honestly, if you watch Demeco and the way he's been calling defense all year, it's pretty much been the same for a majority of this season. Not much variance. He basically dares people to beat him. He mans up. He expects pressure from the defensive line, and he just expects his team to beat the offense. He just thinks they're superior, and it's just like when you're playing basketball and you just play man defense. Go out there and man up and beat your man. And it seems like that's kind of what Demeco's been doing. I don't really think it's going to affect, if we know anything about Demeco, he's a professional through and through. He's going to make sure he's prepared for this game and that the team's prepared.
That's true. I guess the only reason I'm a little concerned is that, frankly, his defense hasn't been playing its best right now. The offense is playing its best. The defense is not. Yeah. And I don't know why that is, but even last week against the Seahawks, who don't have a great offense, I thought the defense was not its best, especially in the first half. And Demeco does great against the Kyle Shanahan disciples, the Sean McVay disciples, the Matt LaFleur disciples. He faces that every day in practice. He's great against it. He struggled against Andy Reid and Josh McDaniels, guys, I mean, from other coaching trees. And he's got this week 2 guys, Mike McCarthy and Byron Leftwich, who he doesn't know as well, although he did face Byron Leftwich a month ago. That helps. But still, I mean, if the defense continues to not play its best, I think people are going to talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. To his credit, going against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes hasn't been easy for anyone, right? But I will say this defense, the key to this defense is pressure on the quarterback. When we don't get pressure on the quarterback, everything else falls apart. And, you see against the Raiders, against the Chiefs, against Seahawks, there was no pressure, right? And when there's no pressure, the quarterback's able to do their thing. The defensive back unit for the 49ers have benefited because of the pass rush, particularly Nick Bosa. And when Nick Bosa is unable to get to the quarterback, they kind of show that they're just not as great maybe as we think they are. They're very good. I don't think Charvarius Ward is a bad corner by any means. It's just they have relied on that pressure. And I think teams that understand that, teams are seeing that. And so they're game planning, they're doubling Nick Bosa, they're chip blocking Nick Bosa. And they understand that if they get away from Nick Bosa, they're going to have a lot more time and the corners are going to struggle a little bit more. And I think that's really just what we're seeing. It's when Nick Bosa is not able to get the quarterback, everything else breaks down.
So what you're saying is that Demeco Ryans doesn't do that much, which is what Pete Carroll said last week too, right? The Niners don't try to fool you. They don't do a whole lot on defense.
Right.
So what you're saying is Demeco Ryans might not be responsible for what makes the 49ers so. I'm just saying, teams that are thinking about hiring Demeco, are you hiring him for his leadership or for his defensive acumen? Because again, there's a lot of DCs look good when the front four is dominant.
He's not doing anything exotic, right? It's just line up and beat your man. And the defense was good with Saleh. The defense has been good for a long time. And it really is all based on getting to the quarterback. 49ers made that their priority when Kyle Shanahan took over.
But Saleh got hired the year after Bosa went down because he showed that he could put together a top 5 defense without Bosa.
That's true.
And I don't know that Demeco can do that. Or maybe if he can, he hasn't had the opportunity to show it yet, which of course he doesn't want that opportunity. But
they had Buckner back then, right?
Not in 2020. He didn't have Buckner. He didn't have
Bosa.
He had Jason Verrett, and he brought a lot of pressure that year, and he could get away with it because he had Jason Verrett. But still, it was impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think Saleh.
Kerry Hyder.
Yeah. But I think that the Demeco, I think, is going to be a good coach, not necessarily because he dials up exotic defenses. I think it's just because he's a good leader. And so I think he'll be a good coach as long as he gets good coaches around him. That's going to be the key for him. Like, who's your offensive coordinator going to be? And what franchise are you going to be with?
True. Also, how much do people want Demeco, or how much are people interested in Demeco as a head coach because of his defense or because of the culture that that teams want? Like, teams want to probably recreate what the Niners have. Yeah. So they're thinking maybe we could get Demeco and Rand Carthon and get like the front office and the coaching staff and get to sort of like another version of the 49ers. I mean, Miami did it. The Jets did it. That could be what's going on right now. Although, how good are Robert Saleh and Mike McDaniel doing? I mean, guess that's in the eye of the beholder. You could argue they've had a lot of success early on in their careers. You could also argue, I don't know. They haven't had a ton of success yet, either one.
I think with Mike McDaniel, you're seeing his struggles as a rookie coach. But I also think he's done a tremendous job building the confidence. If you think about the quarterbacks that he's had to work with this year, I mean, he made he gave Tua confidence he never had. Now, Tua had multiple concussions, and that definitely hurt his play after those concussions. And then he's had second and third string quarterbacks that I think
he didn't even pick his defensive coordinator. I think Miami made him keep him. The thing with Saleh, I guess that would make you a little nervous if you're hiring Ryans and he's like the next Saleh, is Saleh has already fired his OC 2 years into his tenure.
Yeah.
So, Demeco, who's your OC? And why do we feel like you're not going to have to fire him 2 years? Because I'm sure Kyle didn't want to fire Matt LaFleur. They're family friends.
Yeah. And that's why if I'm a GM or an owner, I'm not hiring a defensive-minded head coach personally. Now, I know Demeco, he's going to get a job somewhere. I just don't like that. That's not how I build a team. I build it like 49ers built Kyle Shanahan. Hire an offensive mind because then it's consistent and it never changes. When you're a defensive coordinator, defensive-minded head coach, and you're not responsible for how the offense is playing, you might have to change your offense every year, every 2 years. And we saw that with the 49ers in the early 2000s, and that's a problem.
I mean, yeah, and even if you find a guy that doesn't leave, it's probably because he's not that great. Like, look at Seattle. Yep. One of the best defensive coaches of all time, but their offensive coordinator is Shane Waldron. Look at Belichick.
Yeah. And
his offensive coordinator is Matt Patricia.
And if you find a guy that's good, he's out of there the next year anyway. Yeah,
exactly. That's true. It is true, man. Jad is Jat says, I'm still scared to like the Purdman. Trauma? I think so. Well,
Birdman.
they're not they're not really committed to him. That's the nice thing about it. Connor. Yeah, Purdman Jr.
Oh, Birdman. Got it.
Yeah, you know, Manny Fresh and Purdman.
I'm a little slow to
It's okay.
Honestly.
Yeah, you should be. Be.
Call it him, Jimmy.
But again, what's great is they don't have to they don't have to make a decision on whether to make him the highest paid quarterback in the world after this season. He's still going to be making $1 million, which is nice. Yeah. Connor Koch says, give us the Cowboys. They're just like Green Bay, always good enough to make it, but will always fall short in the biggest moments. It is fitting that their coach is Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Nice little connection.
Yeah. Koch brother, Connor Koch.
Yeah. Remember when they had a rap label and like Cameron was on Coke Records?
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone knew how to pronounce it, so they were calling him Koch. They were on Koch.
Yeah.
Joey Lilly says, loving this team that nobody wants to face in the playoffs. Great show, Grant and Ryan. I'm going to my first ever playoff game Sunday. Let's get the dub.
Oh, have fun, Joey.
The other team in the NFC that's kind of intriguing to me this year is New York.
Yes. Yeah. Daniel Jones.
They might be a year away, but wow, man.
Daniel Jones and Barkley, those two combined, that's dangerous. Really dangerous.
They got some guys on their team, man.
Yeah.
Slayton's good. Richie James is good. Their left tackle is like Trent freaking Williams, but 10 years younger. Their defensive line.
I like how they use Daniel Jones. When I was watching that game, I'm like, man, I wish they would have used Trey Lance like they used Daniel Jones. Like that is the formula for me for Trey Lance. I like watching Daniel Jones. He's really good.
He's another guy who can scramble, get outside the pocket, make the Niners, attack them in their weaknesses. So I don't even. You might rather face Philly. I don't know. I'd rather not go to Philly if you don't have to. But even if Philly loses to the Giants, that's still a tough NFC. And I think it'd be kind of cool to have Niners Giants again, just like 2012.
Isn't there always a team that just comes out of like the one you don't expect that always makes it to at least the Final Four?
But frankly, I mean, the Giants have been tough all year. Everyone knows they're sort of undermanned, but they have been tough all year.
Yeah, they've been
Andre
tough
said,
all year. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Good coach and apparently a good young quarterback, right?
Yeah, I like Daniel Jones, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Andres Flores, I mean, he used to fumble all the time. Now he doesn't. I guess.
You imagine him on the 49ers? I think he would be pretty damn good, man, honestly.
Hell yeah. Yeah. He's better than Geno. I don't know why I keep having to make points about Geno, but it's something about how much the Seahawks fans love him. I'm like, it feels like the Jimmy love all over again. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing against Jimmy, but there is this thing in the NFL about fans who fall in love with mediocre to slightly above average quarterbacks. Jared Goff in Detroit, Geno Smith in Seattle, Jimmy Garoppolo for a long time. And it's like, it's just annoying because it's a waste of everyone's time. You're going to give him too much money. You're not going to win a Super Bowl. Every year you're going to be in the playoffs. You're going to give him too much credit. It's going to be just move on and get a quarterback who's 22 and makes $900K a year, please. But no. So you know what? Don't move on because the Niners are really happy that they get to face Geno Smith twice next year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Geno, actually, man, I think he's played really well, except when he plays the Niners for whatever reason. He's played decent, man. He has a high.
Yeah, I've said, how many times have we said that about Jimmy Garoppolo? I think he's played really well. He's had a good month. Is he going to win a Super Bowl?
His deep ball accuracy, Jimmy never had that.
No, but what Geno doesn't have is pocket presence.
That's true.
He just seems so mechanical and robotic in the pocket. I know when he gets outside, he's kind of athletic and stuff, but
he's a little older too.
I still think Russell Wilson's more dangerous than him, and I know that Seahawks will. It seems like their entire season was about proving that Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson. They were right to trade Russell and not pay him, but Geno, who cares? Like, it's neither. You need Brock Purdy. You got to find Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Andre says, do you think yesterday's game for Deebo gives us a better understanding of how he'll be used in the offense with all these playmakers on off? Yeah, he's going to be getting a lot of balls because they paid him and Kyle loves him.
Yeah.
And he's good.
Deebo, I mean, having CMC and Deebo both, I mean, that's Kyle Shanahan has a plethora of riches.
That being said, what I don't like about his usage in this game was the checkdowns. Dude, that's such a waste for Deebo Samuel. I mean, that's what Christian McCaffrey's for. What I liked with Deebo was the crossing routes. Can we get Deebo to catch the ball more than 3 yards down the field? For the whole season, it was like the line of scrimmage and back.
Yeah.
Dude, you're not paying him for that. And so a crossing route, yes! I loved it. I don't like to say they don't trust him on slants. I don't remember the last time he caught a slant, but a crossing route, love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Hero Winchester says BP's mobile, takes shots, and protects the ball. On this team, that's enough. We never needed the next Mahomes. Just a better Jimmy G. BP has a lot of Mahomes traits, though. Can he win a shootout versus Mahomes? I was going to say, he does remind me of Mahomes in the sense that he runs a lot. It's just, usually it's behind the line of scrimmage, and it's to throw. That's like Mahomes, which I like. How often a game does Brock Purdy cross the line of scrimmage, not on a quarterback sneak?
Not often. I wish he would have. There was one play where he scrambled back out to the left like he likes to do, and he had grass in front of him.
Yeah.
And so maybe there are times where I would like to see him do that a little bit more. And of course, slide. Don't get hit. Yeah.
Don't get hit. Justin, did we answer every part of that question? Justin says that throw he almost made to BA in the back of the end zone, this kid is starting to make. Well, first of all, he did make the throw. Ayuk didn't make the catch. He hit Ayuk in the numbers. It was a perfect throw. Kid is starting to make me believe then the Kurt Warner only quarterback to win is 13 spooky. That's a good point.
To me, that play where he scrambled for like an hour and a half and then BA in the back corner of the end zone was the best play I've seen for Brock Purdy all year. That was my favorite play.
But again, also he made those other 2 touchdown passes with his pocket movement, the one to McCaffrey, the one to Mitchell, and that's why I feel like
they're same play too.
Yeah, like the touchdown passes he had in those games are throws that plays Jimmy wouldn't even try to make. Not that he couldn't make them because he can't, but he wouldn't even try. And that's why I'm so intrigued by Brock Purdy. Of course, he's not the most. It's kind of like I keep thinking of Steph Curry. He's not the kind of basketball player who's 6'7", doing windmill dunks and just impressing you with his athleticism, but the skill. He is actually athletic. The skill, the IQ. All of it. It's surprisingly good, and it's like, well, who cares that he's only 6'1"? Who cares that he runs a 4.8? Like, he has everything he needs so far. Maybe the league will catch up to him at some point, but right now, he's got everything he needs to lead this particular team to big points every week.
When you bring up Steph, it's funny because I think Brock Purdy's athleticism is underestimated, and Steph's is actually as well. He actually has a really good vert. People don't know that. Yeah.
I agree. Levi's needs to be louder. It was way too quiet. It was. I think everyone was in those lounges. I'm just saying. That's the thing about Levi's. The lounges are nice. That's where you want to be.
Yeah.
Kiwa says, hot take. Tampa Bay beats Dallas. Number 13 beats number 12 and passes the torch. New York beats Philly. Comes to Santa Clara. Number 13 redeems. 2011 NFC loss to Eli. SF goes to Super Bowl. 13 becomes first rook to win it all. Legend is born. That could all happen. Only thing that scares me about the Niners playing the Giants in the NFC Championship game is Ray. Don't be Kyle. Yeah. Don't be Kyle Williams. I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen. Don't do it. Just fair catch.
Yeah.
Don't remember Kyle Williams dove for a punt in the rain, and that was a sign that he should have been not. He wasn't ready. The moment was too big for him, but Jim Harbaugh didn't react.
Yeah, that was man. He's one of the most hated 49ers of all time.
Yeah. Sorry, Kyle.
Yeah.
TJ says they only give up 17 points. I feel like you are just trying to ruffle some feathers. LOL, Skylar Thompson put up 31 on the Bills. Standards are high. Yeah, it's true.
But it's Seattle.
It's Seattle.
It concerns you.
It's right? Shane Waldron. It's Geno Smith. It's freaking
how they look against the Raiders.
Yeah. That those things kind of scare me. And it's like, again, it feels kind of like the Niners defense has just taken their foot off the gas, that they're strutting around the field and they think teams are scared of them and intimidated by them because of what they did a few months ago. And they've kind of gotten punched in the mouth by teams that have decent running backs, decent offensive lines. I mean, they've been giving up over 100 yards rushing. They're not playing like themselves, and I don't get it.
Here's a theory I have to that I've been thinking about the last couple of days. And you tell me what you think. The offense is scoring a lot quicker than they were with Jimmy Garoppolo. Therefore, the defense is out there a lot longer. And I was wondering if that comes into play. I need to look at the numbers.
I don't know. I have to look at the numbers on that because I know the offense has the ability to keep the ball like they did on that third quarter drive that really changed the game. They can do it, but they also have a quick strike ability too sometimes. Like later on in the game when they hit Deebo for 74 yards. It's like, Deebo, can you slow down, please? Slow down.
That's what we're seeing, I think, a lot, and that may be why the defense is struggling a little bit more since over the last few weeks is because with Brock Purdy, they have been scoring a lot quicker, and they haven't been relying on the run game and running out the clock, which is enjoyable for me as a 49ers fan to watch. I like the quick attack, but it does put the defense out there longer.
Or maybe it's just the psychological reality of knowing the offense is going to score 35. Yeah. So we don't have to be as focused or as locked in. Maybe it's just natural. Like, hey, they're going to score 35. Like, what? We don't. In the past, they knew they had to play their very best for the Niners to win a game. And Jimmy would get all the credit.
Two different teams this year, right? It's, before it was defense focused, run out the clock on offense. Now it's the offense is scoring quickly. Defense is out there a lot longer. It's like two different teams this year.
And it's good because I don't think you can win a Super Bowl with defense.
No, you can't.
I don't think you – because honestly, who has a great defense in the playoffs right now? Which team?
Well, I mean, the Eagles are decent. Dallas is
decent.
But
that's a team that's given up lots of points in certain – I mean, that's a team that's looked – Philly's been giving up points recently.
But you're not going to stop Patrick Mahomes. You're not going to. You have to be able to –
You got to outscore him. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So the Niners defense can play better, but I don't know that they're ever going to be what we thought they were a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Blake says, this is one of those times I have to disagree strongly. Deebo is the make a zero play into 5+ yards. A number of his plays are better than they seem. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But there was a level of play that he displayed last year that was historic. And he's not 34. He's 26. So I think he can get back there. That's all I'm saying. Maybe he's there right now. Antonio says, I get the feeling that it was close because Pete Carroll knows Kyle so well, and it was a divisional team. Brock is so cool to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Carroll called the perfect game plan. They actually had a Niners game plan. They had the first half Niners season game plan going against the Niners yesterday. It was a perfect game plan, and Geno was playing perfect ball, and then
until he fumbled,
and all went downhill.
I'll tell you who I am when I hatch. Okay. Can we bring back Trent Williams going in motion, says Isaac. Man, that was so gimmicky last year. And I think they did it because he had a messed up ankle, and they were trying to find ways to use him. Defense let off the gas once the offense stepped up. That's what you could argue that's true. I think they need to knock that off, though, because eventually they're going to have to face Patrick Mahomes, probably. Tampa got a gimme losing record, horrible division. That is true. That is true. Yeah. Still, though, they've been hurt all year. And if any team can flip a switch, it's a championship team like them. Double D Studio says, tinfoil hat theory, players' playtime look weird before a contract is due. Maybe Demeco being sabotaged so he could just stay. LOL. I don't think so. No. Tony Flo says, Purdy is crowned if BA catches TD. Awesome play. Honestly, man, that would have been like, not like there wasn't as much on the line, but it was like the Joe Montana to Dwight Clark rolling right. I feel like Purdy could make that play and that throw.
Can I say something that's going to piss everyone off real quick? Just because I just want to say, like, Brock had about 3 turnover-worthy plays in the first half.
He did.
He's had a lot throughout this season, and for whatever reason, the ball has bounced his way.
It has.
And
it didn't bounce Trevor Lawrence's way in the first half of that game.
Yeah, I mean, Brock Purdy's had a lot of interceptions dropped, and I'm grateful for it. And sometimes you need a little luck. But I think I'm cool on the Joe Montana stuff right now for me.
Okay. Well, all I'm saying is, look, I didn't live through Joe Montana, okay? And it was a long time ago, and it's been romanticized to death because we know how his career ended up. Greatest of all time, 4 championships, yada, yada, yada. He threw picks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, all threw picks. The issue is, are you a playmaker? Can you offset them? And what's so interesting about Brock so far is that he has been a playmaker, in addition to being quite a good game manager as well. Now, that could change if he starts throwing a bunch of picks like Dak Prescott. But so far, dude's a playmaker. First one I've had in a long time at quarterback.
I honestly, September 21st, 2022, I tweeted out, no joke, I'm intrigued by Brock Purdy. He seems like a playmaker to me. And
I didn't see it, man. Dude's a playmaker. Yeah. I thought he was a playmaker in the way that, like, C.J. Beathard's a playmaker. No, man, the guy is freaking elusive, and we all know.
He sees the field better than any rookie quarterback I've seen.
Especially when he gets outside the pocket.
Yeah.
Yanni Vander says, Demeco saving his best for Hurts and Philly or Allen. Saving his best. Is that what you do in January? I didn't know that's what you do in January. I thought you play your best in January. Gizmo Maltese says, if we play Cowboys, what's our greatest vulnerability against them? CeeDee Lamb.
I mean, they got a good run game. They got a good offensive line. They got a good outside linebacker. Dallas is very well rounded. I think if they had a better, if Dak was playing better, they'd be pretty damn dangerous. It's just,
I mean, the game plan against the Niners defense is do what the Raiders did.
yeah,
Do what the Raiders did. You know, you got to be able to control the game on first down with your run game. Raiders did that. Seahawks did that for a time. And then you got to take shots down the field to your really good wide receiver. Raiders did that. I mean, look, if the Raiders could do it, the Cowboys can do it because their running backs aren't as good as Josh Jacobs, but their offensive line's better than the Raiders. CeeDee Lamb's not as good as Devontae Adams, but almost. Dak Prescott's better than Stidham. That's what's so scary about it. If the Raiders can do what they did, other teams can do it too. Seahawks almost pulled it off.
And here's what's scary about it too, Grant, is that if you can do offensively what the Raiders did, but then match that with good defense, now that's a problem.
All you got to do to beat the Niners, I think, or at least compete, is not turn the ball over. Because there are vulnerabilities on the defense. As soon as Geno started turning the ball over, it was checkmate. But and Stidham eventually turned it over through that pick at the end, and it was over. But if you can just protect the ball, you got a chance. And Tom Brady with weapons, he can do it. Yeah. Dak, I don't know. I don't know if Dak can do it. That's the thing about Dak. I don't know if he can do it. Right. Anoop says Demeco hasn't delivered a championship caliber playoff defense. Playoff defense is about coverage, schemes. Single high ain't it. Get more DBs back. That is a very interesting comment.
I think it's tough. I think it's tough to put everything on Demeco also, right? Like players got to make plays too, you know. I think the 49ers, if you went player for player, the 49ers offense has more talent than the 49ers defense. I really believe that.
Gizmo Maltese says, why so much hate for Geno? He had a great year.
I think he did too.
Have you not seen the way I covered Jimmy Garoppolo the last 5 years? Are you kidding? Haven't you seen any of my movies?
Yeah.
Haven't you seen my movies? No, this is how I cover mediocre quarterbacks who get too much love and too much money at 32 years old. No. If they re-sign Geno Smith, the Niners should have a parade called the Geno. It should be called Geno Smith Day. And they should celebrate it every year that he's still on the team. Geno Smith Day. I'm sorry if I'm being too mean. Matthew Sanders says, does anyone else think that a halftime Bugs Bunny showed up with the water bottle of Mike's secret stuff while MJ looked on in the corner? Well, and gave it to the Seahawks or the Niners? Because I felt like the Seahawks... Dude, Geno, you were in the red zone, down 6. All you had to do was not fumble the ball, and you kick the field goal, you're down 3. It's a game still. I don't like that, Geno Smith. You could have been a game, and you blew it. I was there.
I do think we got to give credit to Aminu, though. That was a great play by
Big time.
Aminu.
Great play.
And you saw Josh Allen get strip sacked as well. So
Big time.
It happens.
Big time. That was great. Stephen Pryor, 2 hands on the ball in the future. Eugene, your name is Eugene until you stop fumbling. We look at no Geno, Eugene. Stephen Pryor says, I have a gut feeling that NYG will take care of an injured Hurts and Eagles. NYG should be a better matchup for the Niners, and their questionable secondary seems like a trap game for the Eagles. Mm-hmm. I agree. But the thing about the Giants that would concern me, if from the Niners' perspective, is again, Barkley is as good or better than Josh Jacobs. And they have Andrew Thomas, who can match up with Nick Bosa, and Daniel Jones, who can do a lot of he can do everything Jared Stidham did, but way better. Mm-hmm. He's way better than Geno.
Yeah.
So those are the things. And I also think Darius Slayton is pretty good, even though he dropped that crosser at the end. Matthew says Niners defense starting to slide now that they aren't facing Purdy every week. Pink onion pizza.
Oh, wow. He's saying because Purdy, they're going against Josh Johnson, they're sliding.
Hey, man. Maybe it's truth. Purdy, we're going to need you to take all the reps now. First team and scout. Do it for the team. You want to get that contract, right? Don't forget about Purdy's 10-yard split. It's remarkable. Mm-hmm. It's remarkable. 155. I couldn't do that at any point in my life, and I was faster than Purdy. He runs a 4.84. I ran a 4.6. A 4.6. And I want everyone to know that I ran a 4.6 when I was 17 years old. It's very important for my self-esteem.
I'm a 4.95 guy, Grant, unfortunately.
At least it's underneath 5. That's good.
Yeah, I made it.
Tony says a lot of folks giving BCB flack for his performance in the first half. Please remember he's a rookie, and even being a rookie, he's doing what he's doing. Hey, man, go back and look at Joe Montana's playoff performances. He threw 3 picks in the game against the Cowboys where he hit Dwight Clark for the win. Like, you're allowed to throw picks here and there if you win the game and make plays. My thing with Jimmy was he was not a playmaker. And he would take credit for these wins when it was like, dude, you're getting bailed out. mistakes that you made. And to his credit this year, he stopped throwing picks. He became the game manager he always was destined to be.
Yeah. And I mean, at the half, I wasn't impressed with Brock Purdy, but it's about how you finished. And he finished the game. And that's what matters.
He was 9 of 19 at the half.
Yeah.
Niners-Dodgers says Kyle Williams won a Super Bowl with Denver after. He was the good luck charm. Yeah. Trey Niner says, I'm convinced that this defense is not better than the 2019 defense. The secondary is not that good without Mosley. The D-line doesn't seem that great. To me, this kind of feels like the 2012 defense that was great and then all of a sudden started giving up major points in the playoffs and they became this offensive team. But they had injuries. Like Justin Smith was hurt and Alden Smith might have been hurt too. D feels like they don't have to play perfect to win. And it feels like they know it. But what do you think Kyle Shanahan will do differently in this game versus the Seahawks, says Jackson? Nothing.
It depends on who he plays. Depends on if it's the Cowboys or Bucks. I think that's going to alter the game plan.
It's true. I don't think they're going to do much different, though. I think they feel like they have a formula. Hayden Berry says, I'm at Wingstop, want anything. Yeah. Give me the lemon pepper.
Lemon pepper.
Anyways, Brock Purdy's way better than that number 10 guy, and our D needs to step it up if we play in the bowl. Yeah, because to me, again, I feel like, not to be a downer, but great story. This team feels like a team that's going to lose to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Right now. If this is their best that they're going to do. If this is their level right now. But we've seen better out of them. We've seen better. When Deebo got his leg pulled, it cured him. Yeah, maybe that he was giving him a treatment. He was popping it. An alignment. There you go. One more. Who was the Niners' best kept secret this season? 57? Ray. Freaking Ray on offense. Jordan Mason.
I don't know. That's tough.
Here's the problem with Jimmy Garoppolo. Niners ran more 8 clock rested defense. Purdy scores quicker, so defense is out there longer. Gets tired and it shows. But that's on Kyle. Like, run the ball. You can always run. He did it in the third quarter. Like, you don't have to pass every time. They passed 19 times in the first half. That's on Kyle.
Thinking my material double B. I already said that double B. Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, man. The Astro channel says Niners need more blitzes. They have great personnel, but need to disguise more blitz and more often. Yeah, again, this was another game where they didn't have that much pressure, especially early. I think you have to manufacture pressure if you're not getting it on your own.
I would love to see more blitzing from the 49ers. I love a good blitz.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have you're using Jimmy Ward at nickel. He's supposed to be a playmaker. Blitz him. Whoever comes out of New York Giants, Philly is going to be limping. Remember, yeah, agree. That's true. Remember, Saleh used to blitz K'Wan Williams a lot. That was his secret weapon. Saleh was really a very good defensive coordinator. And look, Demeco's good too, but I haven't seen those little – Saleh's pressures were great, underrated. I haven't seen that from Demeco yet. And it's like, man, you have Saleh's notes. Like, can't you just copy him? What are you doing?
He does like one, maybe two.
Huff is his guy. Huff's his guy. Dak and Brady fold under pressure. That's how you win. Yeah, Brady, super known for folding under pressure. That's the truth. Love you, Eddie Marcos. We have nothing to worry about. We can only beat us. Probably. It doesn't seem like either one of these teams has a great chance to beat the Niners. I'm just trying to think which team has a better chance compared. It feels like the Niners aren't really going to be seriously challenged until the NFC Championship game, although it depends on how they play. Niners wide receivers were wide open all day, uncontested, LOL.
Yeah.
There's so many of these.
And I'm pretty hard on Kyle Shanahan, but man, something about having Brock Purdy, he's been just dialing it up. Like, his play design is top 3 in the NFL, in my opinion. Now, his play calling, sometimes I question it, but he's been dialing up some amazing plays, wide open receivers, good blocking schemes for the run game. He's doing a good job.
Where's Danny Gray and Mason playing special teams? Danny Gray runs clear out routes. Jordan Mason gets carries at the end of the game when a fumble couldn't possibly lose the game. I don't know why they think he's going to fumble, but basically they don't want to trust rookies they don't have to. So they're playing special teams.
Danny Gray had a great tackle on punt coverage.
He really did. Did. Black Caesar says Montana had 3 interceptions in the 1981 NFC Championship game. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Yeah, I said that too. Good stuff. It's true. Again, the reason we always talked about with Jimmy is because he's a game manager. Can't be doing that if you're a game manager. Put Givens and Drake Jackson in more pressure.
I want to see Drake Jackson. I don't know. I think Drake Jackson would be I don't know whatever it is about the 49ers and they don't want to use rookies, but man, Drake Jackson, whenever he's in, he flashes, right? How many tip balls is that guy? He has to have the most tip balls per snap in the NFL right now.
And their pass rush hasn't been super great like the last, I mean, like it wasn't. Yeah, all right. The defensive line's kryptonite. I think we've seen recently that the Niners defense goes as the defensive line goes. Usually, it's utterly dominant, and quarterbacks like look at it. They respond to it like they're looking at Mike Tyson, and they're in the corner and they're like almost crying. But recently, there have been games where the Niners D-line hasn't been intimidating, hasn't been dominant, and hasn't been productive. Mm-hmm. And as a result, the Niners defense looks vulnerable. So it seems to me the Niners defensive line, surprise, a good offensive line. But not just a good offensive line, like a big, powerful one. Because I didn't even think the Raiders had a great offensive line. But it was big, and they could double team those D tackles and move them around. I think Seattle did it too. They did a great job against Nick Bosa. How many teams have this kryptonite and can present it to the Niners?
So I actually checked out some rankings for the Raiders offensive line, and they actually finished pretty well. They actually have their offensive line was actually decent. But where'd they rank them?
Where'd they get ranked?
According to this, remember, I was trying to find it. I wrote it down.
Okay.
Here. I think it was 6.
Okay.
I think it was 6, somewhere around that range. So they had a pretty good offensive line actually. But you can also get by with scheme. The key for the 49ers, if you want to be the 49ers defense, you get your quarterback away from Nick Bosa. You chip block Nick Bosa. The defense goes with Nick Bosa. If Nick Bosa's having a good day, the defense is phenomenal. If he's having a bad day, these corners have to cover for long periods of time, and they're exposed a little bit. I mean, it's if you look at games where Nick Bosa didn't have a sack against the Seahawks, he didn't have a sack against the Raiders, and both those guys, I mean, not like the Seahawks went crazy, but the Raiders sure as hell did. And they learned to just roll out away from Nick Bosa's side, and then you guys got doubling, tripling, chip blocking Nick Bosa. That's the key. If you take Nick Bosa out of the game, you have a chance against the 49ers defense. It's that simple.
Yeah, and it's more than that too. So you got to be able to take Nick Bosa out of the game. You also got to be able to run the ball on the 49ers. Yeah. You have to be balanced, and you got to impose your will in that way. And so you have to have a good interior offensive line too. And it's like
they don't have it.
Philly has it.
Yeah, Philly does.
Dallas has it.
Yeah.
I don't know the Giants so well. I know they have the left tackle. I don't know what their right tackle. I don't know what the rest of their offensive line is like. Mm-hmm. But we even saw it against Kansas City. Kansas City has it. They have a very good offensive line, and the Niners D-line was neutralized in that game. It's a big reason why they got shredded on defense in that game. So this is, again, it's on Demeco. You're going to have to find a way to manufacture pressure. You can't just sit back and let this 4-man pass rush, because it's not the one Saleh had in 2019. There's no Buckner. There's no D Ford. Eric Armstead he has 1 sack this year, including the playoffs. Not the same guy he was in 2019, coming off a long absence. So you got to have to be creative.
We have no pressure up the middle at all season long. It's either Bosa or nothing, and that's been the problem.
Recently at Menahew, God love him.
Menahew, yeah, he's doing decent. I would like to I'd like to see Drake Jackson, because I feel like when he's in, he flashes to me. Mm-hmm. But the 49ers had 44 sacks this year. How many did Bosa have? 19, 18 and a half. Yeah. That's almost half of the sacks that the 49ers have had. And honestly, most of the other sacks, probably a good half of the remaining sacks, came because of pressure from Nick Bosa. So the key is, if you stop Nick Bosa, everything else is going to be a lot easier for you if you're another team going against the 49ers.
Make him defend the run.
Yeah.
Make him defend the run, because he is a dominant pass rusher. And he can be a very good run defender too, but not when he goes against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Andy Reid makes him a liability as a run defender. So you have to be able to do all of that. And I don't know how many teams can. I don't know if Dallas can. I don't know if
Tampa Bay can. Dallas has more of a chance of doing it than Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay doesn't even run.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying about Tampa. Like Leonard Fournette, Tony Pollard's good.
Yes, he is.
Ezekiel Elliott's not. But Tony Pollard's good. Saquon Barkley's great. Miles Sanders is good. We saw that the Chiefs ran the ball at will on the Niners with Isaiah Pacheco and their wide receivers, and they neutralized Nick Bosa in that game. So
they used his aggressiveness against him.
And again, that concerns me. It feels like this is going to happen again to the Niners, and Demeco has to have an answer for this. You can't just be like, well, if some team can sort of neutralize Bosa and run on us, we're screwed. Like, no, you got to be able to have an answer to this. And I think part of the problem is Bosa doesn't play all the snaps. Armstead doesn't play all the snaps. They do a lot of rotating defensive linemen, and that second team D line, that's a green light to run the ball. When you have Hyder and McGill in there and Amenihue at DN, like, it's a green light. Run wherever you want.
Something that bothers me is I don't know why they cut Spence. I don't know if they re-signed him to the practice squad. They probably did, but Spence against the Commanders was pushing the interior offensive line back. Yeah. He was tremendous against the run, and I don't know why they got rid of him. To me, he flashed the most against the run of any interior D lineman I've seen all year. I don't know why they got rid of him.
I think they also missed Ridgeway.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, they got Kinlaw back about a month ago, and I'm not saying it's his fault, but I think the run defense has kind of taken a dip. It's kind of coincided with his return, and it seems to me that he does play with the highest pad level of the D tackles. Armstead a little bit higher. But
that's the one knock that Demeco said about Kinlaw. But I will say, I think it was like 3rd and 2. I think it's first quarter.
TFL.
Yeah, Kinlaw.
Beautiful play.
Kinlaw got in there and stopped that run really well.
Beautiful play.
Lost. That was huge.
Hayden Berry says, I got your lemon pepper wings. All right, bring them over.
Yes. Please with some ranch. I need some ranch with that.
Joe Mendoza says, what's your thoughts on Seattle 3 nose tackle defense? That's how they're built, right? They got Al Woods, they got Puna Ford. I mean, they've had those guys for a long time.
We'll see them next year. That's my thoughts on them.
Yeah, Double B Studio says, I tend to steal ideas and use them on other live shows. Thanks to y'all, I'm football smarter. A couple days ago, I had guys laughing at Decoy Samuel, and I stole that line. It's okay. Hey, steal away.
Can I talk about Double B real quick, Grant?
Yeah.
Talk about Double B. So I had a contest giving away a jersey on my channel, and Double B has the closest prediction, but doesn't follow the freaking instructions. I'm still sending him a T-shirt, though, man.
I gotta love that.
Yeah.
Good. Tony says Ryan has to pause that after saying a lot of tip balls. LOL, love the show, Grant. Grow up. The Astro channel says Drake Jackson, Kinlaw, Armstead, Bosa should be the starting D-line. Drake Jackson's not particularly good against the run. And if you want to, they'll run at him. That's why he's not playing. They do run at him when he plays.
Put him in 3rd and long.
Anthony Johnson says Hawks took Bosa out of the game and they still won. Yeah, because the Hawks suck. That's what I'm saying. Did the Niners adjust to the Hawks game plan, or did the Hawks were they not good enough to do it for the full game?
They were destined to lose that game, and they did their best as long as they could, and then they became the Seahawks.
Hayden Berry says, Grant, I saw Armstead at Safeway. I said, stop ducking Grant Cohn. He got mad at me. That was my experience with Armstead, LOL. Really? Tell me that's true. Eddie Marcos says the NFL wants defenses to play vanilla now. Well, that's so much fun. Mike H says the Niners are elite at second half adjustments. On offense, for sure. I don't know how many adjustments Demeco makes, maybe. Last week, put some respect on Burner. I like Burner. Burner's got some good songs, and he's one hell of an entrepreneur. You don't know who Burner is.
I don't know. I'm old.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Ethan says Niners are easily most impressive so far from this round. Purdy QB1 in the NFC. Dak leads the league in interceptions with 5 games missed. And Brady is immobile. It's true. He missed 5 games and has thrown 15 picks. How did you do that?
Yeah, that's bad.
Brady's immobile, but the Niners still couldn't sack him. That's the thing about him. Stephen Pryor says, here's another scenario people aren't talking about. Doug P's Jags potentially taking care of his mentor, Andy Reid and KC. They are heating up at the right time. My Final Four are SF, New York Giants, Jackson, Cincy.
Wow, Jacksonville makes it to all the way there. That's amazing.
Baltimore should have won last night. It all came down to that stupid call. I felt like they were It felt like they were a yard and a half out, and Greg Roman called a quarterback sneak on second down, third down. Pissed me off.
You think they give Lamar a big contract?
No,
I don't think so either.
I don't think they should either. I'm sorry, but I'm basically against giving out contracts to quarterbacks who aren't legit top 3 or maybe top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And Lamar,
especially if you're running a lot, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Jones, thank you very much. Cap Low ENT, hey, sorry I'm late. Put their video over yours, so I went there. Video, let's go. Someone put their video over yours, so I went there into their video. Let's go BP3. Who would do such a thing? All right. Are you concerned about Charvarius Ward? He didn't have a good game against DK, but he's had a good season the rest of the way.
I'm not. I think it all boils down to pass rush. I mean, Charvarius Ward is Charvarius Ward. He's a solid corner in the NFL. He's had a very solid season, except for maybe the Chiefs and against the Seahawks. Really what it boils down to is what we've been talking about all show is really the defense. The defense has to apply pressure. I think Charvarius Ward is 100% serviceable. Even Lenore, man, he's serviceable. But the key is you got to apply that pressure on the quarterback. If you don't do that, then they become regular type dudes, and it's just tough.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about Charvarius. Here's why. Let me say why. He had a great year, but he didn't get targeted a lot. He played on a defense with a great front seven that made his job easier. Mm-hmm. And Mosley went down, so there was a green light on the other side that people were kind of focused on. In the process, he talked a lot of crap. He's a lot of fun, but he does talk a lot like he's the man. Mm-hmm. And he plays like it too. Like he gets right in the guy's face. He plays press man coverage. He shows guys no respect. He shadows them across the field. He's supposed to be, Jalen Ramsey on this team or whatever, Dion. So he's playing that way in this game against DK. And did he give up a long one before he gave up the touchdown? A back shoulder?
I don't remember.
I forget. Anyway, he gives up so he gets the 50-yard touchdown. Gets smoked too. Gets beat down the line, tries to find the ball, looks the wrong way, gives up even more, just gets smoked. The rest of the game, I felt like he lost his nerve. And Kyle Shanahan said, what I liked is he didn't back down after that. I thought he did. I thought he started playing off. I thought he started giving up a lot of short catches, and he was like, I'm not going to get embarrassed like that. So I'm a little concerned. I felt like he might not be as dominant as he acts, and as he might have been the kind of like basically the bully who got smacked in the face and back down. That's what I saw. And now he's going to have to, go up against other really good wide receivers better than DK. And is he going to be playing passive, or is he going to get back up in their faces like he was earlier in the season? I'm a little concerned about Charvarius Ward.
So for me, I'm not any more concerned about Charvarius than I am Huff or Gibson or Lenore. And I think he's the best covered DB out of all of those guys. It's just, again, when there's not pressure on the quarterback and you're making him having to cover top end wide receivers for long periods of time, he's going to struggle. I mean, DK Metcalf is a good wide receiver. Now, if you think about Charvarius, they played the Seahawks 3 times this year. Charvarius won 2 out of 3 of those matchups. Mm-hmm. He just lost this one on Saturday.
Right. In the playoffs.
In the playoffs. But being a corner is tough, man. It's really hard to play that position, and you're not going to win every matchup. I just think the difference was the D line and Bosa were not getting to the quarterback. And I think they relied on that all year. Now, they all might be a little slightly overrated because of this D line. And when the D line is not getting home, then they kind of come back to earth a little bit. But he doesn't concern me more than Lenore or Huff or Gibson in that regard.
Well, certainly. But I guess I'm just concerned in the sense that, like, what did Kansas City know about him? Why didn't they want to bring him back? Like, he had a great season. He had couple of really good seasons for Kansas City. But then, and he had games for Kansas City where he would shut down A.J. Brown. Like, he's in the past has done good things against guys he might face coming up. But then in the playoffs last year, in the AFC Championship game, he got absolutely destroyed by Jamar Chase. And the Chiefs lost, and they didn't bring him back. And I wonder, like, is he the kind of guy who isn't ready for the big moment? I know he's won a Super Bowl, but he didn't really. He beat Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, yeah. What's going to happen if he's facing a quarterback like Mahomes or Josh Allen? I mean, Mahomes went after him too. The Chiefs were not scared of Charvarius Ward. The Seahawks were not scared of Charvarius Ward. Teams have been scared of Charvarius Ward. I wonder if teams look at this tape and they're thinking, I mean, we got an elite wide receiver. Why are we scared of him?
Yeah. I think Charvarius, the thing about
Lenore played better than Ward last week.
He did. Yeah,
he did.
Good for him. Yeah, I think the thing about Charvarius Ward is that I've never seen him as a top 5 corner. I never saw him that way. I think a lot of people have. I saw him
I don't
as
think Kansas City saw him that way. Sorry.
yeah. I don't think Kansas City either, but I think he's definitely serviceable. I think he's a good corner.
Oh yeah.
It's just he looks great when you have the defensive line getting after.
He's going to be taking but like in the playoffs, I think he's going to be shadowing the best receivers. He did that with DK.
Yeah.
He's probably going to have to do it with CeeDee Lamb this weekend if they play Dallas, or it'll be Mike Evans, and then the week after that it'll be either AJ Brown. So it's like this is supposed to be the Niners' ace up their sleeve, though. Still, and he's going to get very difficult assignments still. And I wonder, like, is he shook? Is he shook? Because as we know, there ain't no such thing as halfway crook. So he's going to have to figure out whether he's a full way crook or a no way crook. Because right now he's looking pretty halfway to me.
Well, I mean, the memo's been out for a few weeks now. How you beat the 49ers is deep in the passing game, and that hasn't changed.
I feel like these corners have just been, they had it easy all year, and now they're like, oh wow, D-line isn't making our job easy. We got to defend deep balls. Damn.
Yeah,
this sucks.
That's 100% accurate, man. That's 100% accurate. It's the D-line, and not only that, the front seven in general, just playing lights out, has made the four guys in the back made their life
look great. Yeah. You telling me Hufunga's an all-pro? I'm sorry. Good player, nice story. Like
got a good season as well. Yeah,
slow, but yeah, I feel you on that. That. Ethan says top 4 highest paid quarterbacks missed the playoffs. That is true, and I've been talking about this for years. It was trending this direction. Every year, quarterbacks get more expensive relative to the cap, percentage-wise. It was going to happen. This was going to happen, and it's crippling franchises. And what's interesting is no quarterbacks in their 30s are in the playoffs. Those are the most overpaid ones. The guys on contracts 2 and 3. They're all in their 20s. And if Brady makes it, it'll be one guy in his 40s. Otherwise, it'll be all dudes in their 20s.
And that goes to show you, it's kind of like these DBs. It's complementary. Like the DBs look really good. They're all Huff got all pro, but a lot of that is because of who they have around them. It's the team in general makes everyone look better, and that's what the DBs have benefited from.
For the last 20 years, though, throughout this forever, really, the thought process in the NFL is get the quarterback. He'll make everyone else better. Spend 15% of your cap on a quarterback. He'll make everyone else better. That's a myth. Yeah. Maybe if you have a top 3 quarterback, he'll make other players better. But really what you want to do is have the team make the quarterback better.
Yes.
And the way you do that in a salary cap league is to spend nothing on the quarterback because it's the most expensive position, spend on everything else, and then you end up with a guy like Brock Purdy leading the league in pass rating. Or Tua.
And that's part of the reason, again, everybody hates when I say stuff like this, but that's part of the reason when I look at Brock Purdy, name a quarterback in the NFL that has a better situation than Brock Purdy when it comes to –
There isn't one.
There is not one. There is not one.
There isn't one.
Yeah.
And which is why it's so perfect. It's why you don't want to mess with this. He's making $900K a year. He's 23. He's locked into this salary for the next few seasons. This is the Niners formula. And, just like it was the Seahawks formula with Russell Wilson when he was young. It all changed when they started paying him, and they probably shouldn't. And we're going to talk about that later a little bit. But right now, the Niners formula is a quarterback who can function for cheap. They found the guy. The Seahawks should be so lucky. Detroit should be so lucky. Dallas should be so lucky.
Yeah.
It is the holy grail of NFL football. Anthony Johnson says it's
people should follow the Grant Cohn game plan as GMs for a long time now, and wouldn't be in this situation.
Dude, Denver screwed up. Arizona screwed up.
Yeah.
Cleveland screwed up. Yeah. Anthony Johnson says, does anyone else find it strange that Kittle, Juszczyk, and CMC always bring up Jimmy interviews? Yes. Like they can't handle the breakup? Yes. Yeah. It's a little weird. Let it go. Let it go. Mike H. 60 second half points allowed in the last 11 games. Okay. So there is no concern. Okay, man. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Kim Ferrison says, do you think Brock hit his ceiling or close to it? I think it's unfair to say that about a 23-year-old quarterback. I think he can physically mature even a little bit, get a stronger arm, and get better. But I also think at the same time, defenses are going to be learning his tendencies. And
I think part of the reason why Brock Purdy is so successful is as a rookie is because he's closer to his ceiling than a lot of rookies. Like he's way closer than Trey Lance is to his ceiling, right? And so I think that's part of the reason why you see his success. Now that doesn't mean he's at his ceiling. I think he can definitely improve.
And I think in the past, people used to be like, "Oh, well, he doesn't have a high ceiling. He's already so developed. That's a bad thing." Now I think it's almost a good thing because what you want is to take advantage of the rookie contract.
You want the high floor. You want the high floor.
You want a guy who can play right away on a great team.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Trey, that's not what he was. Trey was supposed to be Josh Allen. And there's always a place for a guy who can become an elite quarterback. But that's a process. Like that's the Joel Embiid. You got to trust the process. The Niners didn't. And most teams can't. There's a short timeline. So all of a sudden, teams are going to be looking for.
On teams like the 49ers, you want a high floor.
You do.
You know, if you're on the Jaguars, you want that high ceiling probably.
And the best thing about it is Purdy is he's a better athlete than Mac Jones. He's a better player than Mac Jones. Mac Jones can't move like Purdy.
Yeah.
Better skill set. Only thing Mac Jones has over him is height. We're missing Mosley, says Alex.
Yeah, that's key. Yeah.
No doubt. I hope they bring him back. I hope he makes a full recovery. Anoop says, when was the last time the Niners had a coverage sack? When they had Mosley. They used to have so many with Mosley.
Yeah.
More worried about the other Ward hitting quarterbacks. Yeah, Jimmy, man. What's up, dog? What was that? Come on, dog. I used to QC Jimmy hard, but I like Jimmy a lot, so I don't. Yeah. But come on, Jimmy. You're 31.
Blitz Jimmy Ward.
Please blitz Jimmy. Do you think Lenore being short hurts him? It doesn't help. He's like a 5'10" corner. You know, it's better to be 5'11", but I think his ball skills hurt him more than his height. Jason Verrett's 5'9". O-line not used to BP scrambling, and they stopped blocking. It is new.
Although I thought they did a great job blocking on that. My favorite play from Brock Purdy when he hit BA in the back of the corner. I think it was actually McGlinchey was still in the block as he was scrambling. I thought it was good.
G-Code Travel says, did Jimmy Ward own up on his penalty late hit? I don't know. I was in the interview room, not the locker room. Lawless Light says, media keeps fading BA. BA moves the chains. Deebo, Kittle, CMC make explosives, but remember, chains have to be moved first. I think BA gives explosives too. He had a lot of those play action catches down the field. I don't. It's Kyle who's always given him constructive criticism, but he's really good. All right.
He's the most consistent, underrated player on the offense is Brandon Ayuk.
All right. Let's talk about the Trey Lance thing. I know this is a very uncomfortable topic, and I think what's interesting about it is I don't know the right thing to do. I have a feeling I know the right thing to do, but it's still okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's still early. We don't really know what Brock is. But I guess the hypothetical is, let's say Brock continues to do what he does and doesn't have a big stinker, and he's a starter next year. In that case, would Trey Lance have more value to the team as the backup quarterback or as a trade chip?
For me, it's 100% no question he needs to stay with the team and be a backup quarterback. Having a $10 million quarterback room is still very cheap, even if Trey Lance is responsible for 90% of that.
It's true.
We're on our third quarterback. Brock Purdy is the third quarterback of this year. If that doesn't tell you that you need a top-notch backup, which I believe Trey Lance is, I think he could be a starter in this league. To me, it's no question you keep Trey Lance around because the odds are at some point next year we're going to see him again, even if Brock Purdy starts the season as the starter. It's just what we've seen for how many seasons has Kyle Shanahan had a quarterback play all 17 games?
One. And it was a 16-game season. You're right.
And I don't think that finding a backup quarterback at Trey Lance's level is that easy. I really don't. So to me, it's no question. You need to see Trey Lance and Brock Purdy play out this next season. And then at that time, you can consider whether or not you need to trade one or two of them. And I also, another reason, Grant, is because 49ers invested a lot in him. And I'm not 100%, unlike 99% of the 49er fans, I'm not 100% sold on Brock yet. I still want to see him finish this postseason. And I also want to see what happens next season. The sophomore slump is a thing as well. So I think we have a great opportunity to have two high-end young quarterbacks for under $10 million a year, and I think that's what you stick with.
I'm pretty sold on Brock. Now, I'm not saying I would give him like a huge contract extension in 3 years, but on this team at this contract, they're not going to have to get rid of players to keep him around. I think it's going to work. I think he's the guy. So I'm looking at Trey Lance's no fault of his own. He may end up being a better quarterback down the line than Brock Purdy. but I just don't see how he gets on the field here. So he's the backup, at least until something changes. And a backup is important, but let's do it this way. I don't know what he's worth in a trade. It's possible he's not worth much. I don't know.
I would think he would, personally.
What do you think he's worth?
I think there's a team out there. I mean, the Niners spent 3 firsts on him 2 years ago. What has changed since then? He just got hurt, right? I think there's a team out there that would give a first for Trey Lance. I do believe that.
Oh, damn. Okay, so let's say that the Niners could get a first. I'm thinking a second. But, hey, maybe they get a first. Let's say they make that trade. And they get the first for a late first, whatever, for Trey Lance. They have the pick. Do they spend that pick on a quarterback or another position?
I think the 49ers' number one need is tackle.
Okay, I agree. So you spend that pick on offensive tackle, cornerback, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of, to me, proves that he's more valuable as a trade chip than as a backup, because if you traded him, you wouldn't spend that on another quarterback. You would get a quarterback in round 7. You would use the Brock Purdy blueprint. You'd say, hey, whoever found Brock Purdy, Brian Griese, Clay Kubiak, Steve Slowick, whatever, you guys, the same things you were looking for, let's get a similar guy in round 7 or 2, and we can sign a guy. We can hedge our bets. But if we're trading Trey Lance and getting this first round pick, we're gonna get a starter. That's the whole thing here. Is that Trey? He's making $9 million next year to be a backup. It's the 8th highest cap hit on the team. You could trade him for a pick, get a starter who's worth $9 million a year, and get a backup, 2-3 backup quarterbacks as well. That's the calculation. Now, I understand it's complicated because Brock Purdy could fall back to earth. Brock Purdy could be a total fugazi. Trey Lance could end up being better than Brock. Brock could get hurt. All those things are true. But if you don't trade Trey now, okay, let's say you don't do what I just said, and you hold on to Trey just for all the reasons you said. And then, but Brock, stays basically the same and maybe misses a game or two, but it's still his job. The Niners eventually would have to not pick up Trey Lance's 5th-year option and then trade him next year. And then I don't know if you'd be getting a first-round pick for Trey when he's been on the bench essentially for 4 years. So these are all part of the calculation. And I don't really know what the right thing to do is here. I think they're not going to trade. I know what's not going to happen. What's not going to happen is they're not going to trade him. Yeah. It's not going to happen. But I do think they should talk about it, man, because it's the same thing as the Jimmy thing. They waited too long with Jimmy and essentially got nothing. There is a situation here where they get nothing for Trey Lance and he just leaves in 2 years. And I think that isn't what you want if you already can see into the future that Brock's your guy. That's all I'm saying. I guess talk for 5 minutes. You go.
No, it's great. I think, and I'm glad that we have different opinions about this. I think it's great. But what I would say is we're assuming that Brock Purdy is going to be able to stay healthy. And the 49ers have not had a good history of that. The other thing that I don't think it's as easy to find Brock Purdy as maybe you think it is. I don't think it's that easy. I think the 49ers got pretty damn lucky with Brock Purdy. If it was that easy to find quarterbacks in late rounds, we would have seen it happen a lot more often.
Can I say what the Brock Purdy blueprint is?
Yeah.
Accurate. Don't have to be big. Accurate, experienced, mobile.
Well,
because what happens is you're getting placed on a better team than your college team.
Yeah.
And in a sense, it's going to be easy for you if you know what you're doing. You don't have to have a high ceiling. The high ceiling is Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, yada, 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 yada. You just have to know what you're doing and be not a project whatsoever and be somewhat competent. Like Brock Purdy checks all those boxes. To me, the quarterback at UCLA checks those boxes too. 23-year-old, 4-year starter, completed 69% of his passes. Nice. And good athlete. I feel like Tyler Huntley checks those boxes. Gardner Minshew checks those boxes. Like, there are so many quarterbacks who are experienced, cheap, young, that you could bring into this team and will probably look to your point, right? How many quarterbacks would look as good as Brock Purdy right now on this team? Not C.J. Beathard, Nick Mullins, but a lot of guys.
Well, there's one thing that you haven't mentioned that makes Brock Purdy so good, and it's in here. And I don't know if you can see that until it's here, right? A lot of times you might see all those things, and when they come to the NFL, it's a different speed, right? And that pressure and the speed of it is very different for a lot of people.
It's true.
Brock Purdy has that mentality that you just can't see until you put him out there.
Unless Brian Greasy can see it.
Maybe he can.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Part of me feels like, hey, man, if you could do this, can we do this like again every year? Because
here's what you do. Why not keep Trey Lance and try to do it again this year anyways and see if you can. You know what I mean? And if they can, then hell, by all means.
Actually, they should. They really should. You should have 3 young quarterbacks on your team at all times. Yeah. I also like Tyler Huntley. I feel like he played it 3 years at Utah, completed 70% of his passes. He's a lot like DTR. He's a little bit older. I hate Greg Roman's offense with passion, and I think Lamar and Tyler Huntley need to get the hell out of there, get on a team with some freaking wide receivers and an actual NFL scheme. So, man, there's some interesting young, cheap backups out there. And I feel like what sucks with Trey is Trey shouldn't be a backup. Trey should be a starter. He should get to go somewhere and play. But that's really not the Niners' fault or their problem.
For Trey Lance, the best thing would be to get traded. But for a 49er fan and for the 49ers, I think the best thing is to keep him.
The last thing about him is that as a backup, he isn't necessarily the ideal one, even though he was great against the Texans. And maybe if the Niners' offense is in sync, he can be just fine. And he did run the Niners' offense that day. But other times, Kyle's changed the entire offense for him. And what else? He runs an entirely different offense.
If a team was to trade for Trey Lance, which team would be the best situation for Trey Lance? It's a tough question.
Most likely a team with a young coach who would have some time.
Yeah.
A team that's going to play him. And a team that maybe there's not too much media like scrutiny if they lose at first. I don't know.
How about Miami? How about Mike McDaniel building up Trey Lance? What do you think about that?
Tua had too much success. If Trey Lance doesn't kill it right away, everyone's going to be like, well, what about Tua? Yeah. I'm thinking a team like the Raiders or Minnesota, a team where like everyone's just not – the quarterback has to go, and there's no nostalgia. Mm-hmm. And anyone that comes in, the fan base is going to be like, yes, we're committed. You know what I mean? Not like, 1 foot in, because the Niners are always 1 foot in, 1 foot out with Trey.
Colts. Yeah.
The Colts. Yeah, someone that's just all in. Whoever it is has to be all in. Mm-hmm. The Niners never were.
Yeah.
The Bills were all in with Josh Allen in a way that a lot of teams wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
You know? So it's got to be that. And at least Trey is still really young. He's younger than a lot of these quarterbacks. He's way younger than Will Levis, wherever you pronounce that guy's
name. At some point, I think Trey Lance, whether it's on the Niners or some other team, I think he's going to get his opportunity, and I think he's going to be good.
That's what I think is going to be interesting. That might be Trey Lance's trade value right there. So Will Levis is supposed to be the toolsy project Josh Allen in the draft, right? But he's 24. So if you want a toolsy project, do you want the dude who was kind of mediocre at Kentucky for a while, or Trey Lance, who's 2 years younger and hasn't played in a while? Give me Trey. So I guess wherever Will ends up going, if he's late first, early second, that's kind of Trey's value right there, I would think. So which is kind of what we decided, like right in that 25 to 50 range, 25 to 35 range, something like that. Yep. Game Time says if you play quarterback the right way, it don't matter if they're a book on you. Well, it can matter for the play caller in terms of tendencies. 41 points in the rain, no rain Sunday equals 48. It really wasn't raining. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kevin says, Grant, is it annoying when I type like this? Because it's how you make your mic sounds. QC for QC, love the content. I know. I need to buy a new mic like today. Maybe I will. JT, new member. Thank you very much. This is how your mic sounds in my face. How long would Brock last if he was used like Trey? Not long. And to Kyle's credit, he doesn't use them like that.
Yeah.
Jordan Matthews says, what quarterback is better than Lance in this year's draft? 49ers get a first for him this year and build around Brock. Well, I would think that every NFL team would currently have Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud as, ranked ahead of Trey Lance in terms of value. They're young. I mean, they've played more. They've had more success.
Well, if Trey Lance was coming out of the draft now.
But he's not. Trey hasn't played in 3 years. Trey hasn't played extended football since 2019, since before the pandemic.
Yeah.
The pandemic just ruined his entire career.
Well, I don't know if it's ruined it, but it's slowed it down. For sure.
Ruined is the wrong word. but it really set it back for 3 years.
Yeah.
Lawless Light says, I don't see how having both helps us next year when it comes down to the locker room. Clearly will be another distraction to the locker room, divisive maybe. I don't think it's going to be that divisive, unfortunately. I really feel like Trey never had it.
Yeah. I honestly think the locker room's behind Brock, but I think that works in his favor. I almost think it's better for Trey if he comes in as the backup next year, because if he makes starter next year, the fans, a lot of the team, I don't think they're going to support that decision. I think Trey's best opportunity is if he comes in, Brock gets hurt or stalls or doesn't play like he does, and then Trey can come in and do his thing.
I can see Trey wanting to stay in the sense that it's such a loaded team that if he ever gets his opportunity here, he could be better than Brock. And he's probably thinking that. He's probably thinking watching these games like, yeah, Brock's doing great. I could do this. Everyone's wide open. When he was playing, the offense was still figuring it out. So maybe he thinks like, if Brock doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, he'll be the starter next year, but there'll be such high expectations. There's a possibility he can't replicate him. He takes a step back. He misses some time. I come in. Everyone likes me. I could be Brock next year. That could happen. Seriously.
Yeah, it could. I mean, nobody honestly, everyone thinks they can predict next year. I see a lot of that, but who predicted that Brock Purdy was going to be?
Exactly. We couldn't predict this year.
Yeah.
Art Martinez says, what's up, fellas? Maybe a stupid question, but does Demeco fly to each location or does he Zoom his interviews? It would be nice if the NFL just waited after the Super Bowl to start interviewing. I don't know. I would think he goes. I know they did Zooms during the pandemic, but these are some serious hires with a lot of money on the line.
Yeah.
Rob says Cowboys are the better matchup. Brady's going to take all the opportunities our defense gives him. Prescott might as well, but it'll also give our defense at least 3 opportunities to turn the ball over. Yes. And I don't think you're going to beat the Niners turning the ball over. I just don't. They're too good on offense.
I mean, look at the numbers. When 49ers win the turnoff battle, they win. I think they're undefeated.
Trey would be great in Tennessee or Pittsburgh. Stable situation, good coaching, solid defenses. Love the coach. See, I don't know if Tennessee would give up on Malik Willis already, although he hasn't looked that good. Pittsburgh is a great call. Pittsburgh is a great call.
Yeah.
Perfect for him. They got Kenny Pickett, but
I don't know. Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett's the hometown hero, right? He went to college there, went to high school there. I don't know.
He's old.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to go.
Real quick. Kenny Pickett stats. Real quick. I just want to know. What did Kenny Pickett do this year? He's almost 25. This year he was 7-5. His career record was 76. Yeah, I mean,
nothing.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that for Trey Lance. Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that'd be great for Trey. I just don't know if they're going to move off Pickett so quickly, but maybe.
Again, the Niners aren't going to – I just want to make that real clear. It's probably upsetting some Niner fans right now. They're not going to trade Trey. No. It's not going to happen. It's just something I'm talking about, like talking about trading George Kittle. It's not going to happen. The Niners don't take my advice. They really don't. Mike H. says, if 2023 had 2020 level injuries, can BP carry them? Probably. I don't know. Maybe not. But fortunately, he's not being asked to do that at this time. Eduardo says, trade to the Falcons.
They wanted Trey when he came out of the draft. I think if the 49ers didn't get Trey Lance, I think the Falcons were going to grab him. So
yeah, it could be them. Although they could just draft a quarterback this year, though. Yeah. Trey with the Raiders and Adams, wish him the best. No, Adams does make anyone's job better.
No, I feel bad for Trey already. I don't want him to go to the Raiders. That's only worse.
Fernando.
That's it?
Fernando? I'm tired. I can't do it right now. I slept all day yesterday. Yeah. All right. Let's end on a positive. I know you're not 100% sold on Brock Purdy yet, but I think what's interesting is every week we see him play.
Yeah.
Our perception of him changes a little bit. Maybe it gets a little bit more accurate. And early on, we were the comparison game is fun. Who does he remind you of? And he's gotten everyone from Taylor Heineke to Joe Montana and Patrick Mahomes and everyone in between. But if you had to give the best comparison for Brock right now, after 6, 7, 8 games, who would be in your mind?
I thought about this for a while. It's 2014, Russell Wilson without the deep ball. There you go. Yeah,
Russell Wilson. And we did not talk about this before the show. Yeah, he doesn't have Russell Wilson's deep ball. He doesn't have Russell Wilson's velocity. But he's kind of short, like not as short as Russell, but kind of short like him, quick like him, wants to get outside the pocket. And I think to me, it's financial. Like, once you put Russell Wilson, the 3rd round pick, making whatever he was making on that team, they were a juggernaut. Like, they were as good as a salary cap team could be. They went to the Super Bowl and won 43-8.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yep.
And then the next year probably should have won back-to-back, but Pete Carroll did what he did at the goal line. So they're as big of a juggernaut as any salary cap team ever. And it's because of Russell Wilson, how good he was for such a cheap price, how mobile how big of a playmaker he was.
Yeah.
Then he got paid and the team fell apart. And that could happen to the Niners in 4 years.
Yeah.
But for right now, he is having a Russell Wilson-esque impact on this team. They could go to the Super Bowl and win 43-8. This team has been doing stuff like that recently.
Yeah. Let me make my position on Brock Purdy clear too. Me not being sold on Brock Purdy doesn't mean I don't like what I see from Brock Purdy. My question is, can he continue to do what he's doing? If he continues to do what he's doing, I'm 100% sold on Brock Purdy. That's just my question.
Russell Wilson couldn't continue to do what he was doing. I mean, once he got paid and was expected to carry the team, he didn't. The team carried him, in a sense. And it's like the Niners are carrying Brock. It's just that if a quarterback can do these things, he's the MVP. So it's a weird balance, but that's what it is right now.
The way he creates off script, the way he's so elusive, and the way he can see the field reminds me of Russell Wilson during his Super Bowl run in 2014.
Yeah.
The only thing I think he doesn't have, he just doesn't have the deep ball that Russell Wilson does. But I don't think
got a better one than his predecessor, though.
Yes, and I don't think he needs it. And I think, honestly, in order for the 49ers to win a Super Bowl, all they've needed is somebody that was better than Jimmy. And they got that.
Yep.
To me, they got that.
Yep. Yeah. And he's like 10 times cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like when the Seahawks went from Tavares Jackson and Matt Flynn to Russell Wilson. It's a huge difference. He's cheaper, he's younger, he's better. That's huge.
Yeah. That's it.
Russell Wilson.
Super Bowl's coming.
And Russell Wilson's a very controversial quarterback because of the way his career has gone. He got really rich. He became kind of a weirdo. Not a weirdo, but a little bit of a diva. Seems like a lot of people, his teammates don't like him. The Seahawks really couldn't stand him. He's embarrassing himself in Denver. But the first 3 years of his career, holy shit, he was unstoppable on that team. Yeah. Holy shit. And that's how Purdy looks right now. A little unstoppable.
Maybe I don't like Russell Wilson is just because he took Sierra off the market, and I thought I might have a chance. No, not really.
Her goodies were not your goodies. They were not your goodies. Lawless Light says, do you gather good questions from your show to, quote, possibly be the topic of reference on other shows you create? If so, I love it. Of course I do. I do 2 shows a day. I need to take ideas wherever I can get them. So thank you. If turnovers go the other way, BP loses big and ugly. Well, that's football.
Yeah.
It could happen. It could happen.
It's a little luck, man.
He's gotten a little lucky.
He's bringing lucky number 13, and let's keep it going.
Scott Alexander, 2 pounds. Thank you very much, Niners faithful. I agree with Grant getting better team first and spending no more than 10% of salary cap on quarterback. Let others pay 40, 50 on a quarterback to damage other teams' caps. Yeah. Absolutely.
Grant's been saying that for what, 2-3 years at least?
Yeah. And people were like, well, there's no evidence that you're right, Grant, because how many quarterbacks on rookie deals have won the Super Bowl? Well, for a while, it had just been Flacco and Wilson and Mahomes. But you're starting to see, I feel like you could see it coming. Yeah. Quarterbacks were getting too expensive. And I don't know I keep trying to make like an analogy to real life stuff that you pay for, but it's like, imagine your biggest expense in your life that you one day realized you didn't have to spend anymore. Like, why am I doing this? I could get that, and it's nothing. This is all of my rent. This is all of my salary, monthly salary. This is nothing. Cable. Why am I paying for this? Exactly.
Yeah, just get Roku. You're good.
Just get Roku, and it's the same thing. And it's like, oh wow, my quality of living just went way up.
Yeah,
that's what these teams are doing. Like, I don't have to spend through the nose on the most, because I think what people realized about 20 years ago that running backs are a dime a dozen. Running backs are very important. But they're also a dime a dozen. So even though you need a good running back, you can find them. Quarterbacks are a dime a dozen too. Now, elite ones aren't, but good ones, they come out of college all the time. They're in the 7th round, the 6th round. I mean, colleges throw the ball a lot. Quarterbacks are a dime a dozen. So unless you have Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, don't reach for one. Freaking don't reach for Zach Wilson. Don't reach for Mac Jones. Don't reach because Jalen Hurts is waiting in round 2. Brock Purdy's waiting in round 7 if you're good and you know what you're looking for. You can find these guys. Don't reach. Do not reach. Because teams reach all the time, and then you're the Jets. Oh, damn it, I'm fired. Well,
And all they got to be is top 14, top 12. And if you have a good team
you can
around
make them look better than they are.
yeah, yeah.
You can make them look better than they are. So it's a big one. Sudden Chaos says if BP is so cheap means there wouldn't be a big hit like Lance if we trade him. What if we trade BP and keep Lance? There is a lot of BP hype right now. They say anyone can be under center for this offense. I'm against it, but hey, just in terms of a discussion, what is Brock Purdy worth in a trade right now after that playoff performance? What's he worth?
Well, the attractiveness about trading Brock Purdy is what you spent for him versus what you can get for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brock Purdy's shown that he can get as much as Trey Lance right now. If you trade him right now, you can get a low first for Brock Purdy. Why wouldn't you be able to get a first?
I would venture to guess that he's worth more in a trade right now than Trey Lance.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, look at what he's doing. He's got a ton of value, and you spend a seventh for him, so he can give you the most value back for your investment.
When Jimmy had his run in 2017, I wrote at the time that they should trade him. I said this guy is not it. He's worth like 3 first-round picks in a trade right now. Cash in. Ooh, I'm proud of that. I'm not right about a lot, but when I am right, I want to mention it. Rob says, Grant, ask Kyle why he thinks the Niners have had a slow start and haven't been able to play to their potential for a full 4 quarters, and if he thinks that will affect them going forward in the playoffs. Yeah, it's a good question. To me, the 49ers are a great team. They're also an arrogant and entitled team. I'm sorry. They've been this way since they lost the Super Bowl. They partied after they lost the Super Bowl. They called themselves the best team in the league after they lost the Super Bowl. Their attitude was that it's just one game, fluke things happen, they were the best, they didn't have to prove it. And they carry themselves like they're champions and they can flip a switch and that teams are afraid of them. And it's the main thing that bugs me about this team. I don't think you're allowed to act that way. And I think actually, like, if you believe in karma and football gods, like, they will punish you for acting that way. You got to be humble, keep your head down until you win the freaking Super Bowl. They haven't done it yet.
Yeah, 4 quarters.
QC.
Yeah.
Jonathan says, did y'all talk about Purdy getting mad at BA for not finishing his route for a moment? I think BA got a Jimmy flashback.
Yeah.
Kyle liked it. We asked Kyle about it, and he said Purdy was right. Mm-hmm. Mike H., worst weather game the Niners played in the last 4 years, 2019 at Washington, 2019 at Baltimore, 2021 versus Indy, 2022 at Chicago. I think the Washington game, that was the whole game.
Yeah, it was tough.
It was tough. Jorge, is it me or are the Niners the least flawed among the remaining playoff teams? Why not us, Fernando? Yeah, I mean, we keep talking about the Niners defense like it's a problem, but I don't see any good defenses in the playoffs right now, unless I'm missing one.
I think from a roster standpoint, Philly and the 49ers have the best 2 rosters in the NFL.
I agree. You know why? Cheapest quarterback rooms.
Quarterback, yeah.
Niners daddy says a lot of pressure on the first-round pick you get for Lance. If the pick fails, that's 4 firsts for nothing. Keep Lance and watch him take the job. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Good point. See, it's a complicated discussion, which is why I like having it. There's no right answer at this time.
Yeah.
But this show's gone on for an hour and 42 minutes. Wow. Got 2,100 people watching.
Yeah.
Hey, it's playoff time, baby. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan. I just monopolized all of your time today. Thank you so much.
That's all good. It's MLK. The office is closed. It's MLK Day. Happy MLK Day. The office is closed. Yeah.
Hey, happy MLK Day.
Yeah.
What you got going on the rest of the day?
I'm chilling today. We had a show this morning. I was a little late to it, but if you guys do me a favor, man, please go subscribe to the channel. It's growing pretty quickly, and I appreciate all your support. So go subscribe. It's just my name, Ryan G. Hensley.
See, what's nice, people come to me with a little bit of advice about how to start YouTube channels, and I tell them, like, just commit. It's going to be slow at first, but you want to like, these are building blocks. Mm-hmm. And if you commit in freaking August, look where you're at in the playoffs. Yeah. It seems like you and Larry are taking off big time, which is a testament to the work you did earlier when it may have seemed like it was a little futile. Now it don't. Yeah. Now you're monetized, baby.
It's also credit to you and your generosity in giving us this forum as well. So appreciate you, man.
Thanks. I was fishing for that compliment.
You're the Bill Walsh of YouTube 49ers content creators.
I'm the Kyle Shanahan, man. Nepotism, baby. Thanks for watching. I'll be back in like less. I'm at 3 o'clock. Larry, 3 o'clock. Larry, see you guys in.
All right.